Hi there, my name is Callum and I'll be narrating this video. I'm one of the trainees who took part in the Erasmus Plus Theatre as Inclusive Practice project, or TIP for short. I belong to one of the partner organisations who took part in TIP, Mess Up the Mess Theatre Company, a youth theatre company based in Ammanford, Wales. Mess Up the Mess specialises in devised theatre. Devised theatre is the process by which a group of people work together to make an original piece of theatre based on their interests, ideas and thoughts, without a pre-existing script created by a writer before rehearsals begin. This inclusive approach gives the opportunity for every member of the group to be heard and represented within the piece, leading to increased ownership of the resulting performance at the end. So, without further ado, here are Mess Up the Mess's Tips for TIP, a guide to devised theatre with an inclusive approach. Number 1. Pronouns. Pronouns are important. Someone's pronouns inform us how to best refer to and honour them. For example, they, them, she, her, or he, him. When asking a group to share their pronouns, consider the context of where you are. It may be important to give people the opportunity to self-identify with pronouns in a safe community context. However, this could possibly be unsafe in some educational settings. Number 2. Check-ins. Check-ins are important at the start of workshops. They allow people to introduce themselves to the rest of the group, including sharing their name and pronouns. Check-ins can be useful to gauge how the group are feeling. It's important to keep the check-ins simple. You could ask the group to rate how they're feeling out of 10. In the example we are about to show you, we asked the participants to share with the group their name, their pronouns, and a colour that best described how they were feeling that day.
I'm Mably, I'm she, her, like a purpley pink, I'd say.
I'm Victoria, pronouns are she, her, and I think I'm feeling a bit purple today, yeah.
Number 3. Sharing the plan. Workshop settings where people are being asked to share their opinions and express themselves can cause anxiety in some people. By sharing the plan with the group beforehand, you allow people who may feel anxious about not knowing what is going to happen to help feel at ease. This can take place after check-ins have been done and before you begin the first activity or game. Number 4. Thumbs up system for feedback. Workshop settings or working in large groups can be overwhelming for some, meaning people may need to take a break from the space. Mess Up the Mess uses the thumbs up system. This allows the facilitator to gain quick and instant feedback from participants who need to leave the space. Thumbs up means, I'm okay, I'm just taking a break from the space. Thumbs in the middle means, I need to take a break. Come check on me in a few minutes. Thumbs down means I'm not okay. Please check on me straight away. It's important to explain to the group before the activities take place how the system works. Not only does it allow you to check on participants in a way that doesn't draw too much attention to them if they need to leave the space, but also allows the flow of the session to be maintained, especially when the group are working within a specific time frame. Number 5. Making it work. And making it work is a set of guidelines or expectations based on the group's input. This is to make sure everyone is on the same page with the work ethic we want to bring into the room, establishing a set of guidelines showing how we want to create a safe space and productive environment for everyone. It's important you encourage as many of the participants to contribute to the making it work, allowing everyone to share their input. Once the making it work has been agreed, you can ask the group to each sign the piece of paper it is written on, giving the group ownership over the established guidelines. Number 6. Ungendered games. For this tip for tip, I'm going to hand you over to Sarah Jones, Mess Up the Mess's Artistic Director. Here she is now.
So I remember being in a workshop one day, running this lovely game that we love playing, which is a game where you ask the participants just to do what you're saying. So you say, walk around the space. When I say stop, stop. When I say go, go. When I say jump, jump. When I say clap, clap. And you play it like that for a while. And then you ask the participants to do it opposite to what you're saying. So you say, when I say jump, clap. When I say clap, jump. When I say stop, go. When I say go, stop. And traditionally, previously, what Mess Up the Mess would have done would have said, okay, so this time when we're doing it, can all females in the room do exactly as I say, and all males do the opposite. And that is what we would have traditionally done. And I remember being in a workshop one day and suddenly realising that within my group, I had people that identified as a different gender to the gender they looked as though they presented themselves as. I had young people who were identifying as non-binary, who that might not work for at all. I had young people who were very much out and young people who were not out, and that just didn't feel like a safe or productive way to run the exercise anymore. So it was kind of a bit of a thinking on my feet moment where I thought, well, how else? Well, why are we doing this? Why are we constantly playing games and deciding that people are split into whether or not they're male or female? It's totally arbitrary. It's just something that we've got used to seeing the world through that lens of. So instead, generally in the world of Mess Up the Mess, we now see things through the lens of who's wearing boots and who's wearing shoes, or who's wearing a hoodie and who's wearing a cardigan. You know, we just use something that is far less personal and much more an absolute, what's an actual fact, because gender isn't a fact in the way that perhaps people thought it was when I was growing up.
Number 7. Call and response. Before you begin any exercise or activity as part of the devising process, it's always best to start with some games. Call and response games are a great way of getting a group warmed and loosened up. Mess Up the Mess's favourite call and response game is called Venga Venga. Venga Venga works like this. The group stand in a circle, and the facilitator will call out or make a sound and do an action, which is paired with that sound. The group then must follow up with a specific response that's paired with the call. One specific call and response, where the game gets its name from, goes like this. The facilitator will call out hula hula while pretending to hula hoop, and the participants will respond by shouting out Venga Venga, moving both their hands from left to right. As the game progresses, you can add more calls and responses. Once all the different calls and responses have been taught to the group, the aim is to create a fast, energetic rhythm within the space. Venga Venga and other call and response games are a great way to loosen up the body for any physical exercises or devising tasks. It also encourages and celebrates the participants to be silly and have fun. During the Theatre is Inclusive Practice Residential, which took place in the summer of 2022, all of the attendees took part in a game of Venga Venga. Here they are, showing us how it's done.
There's moles digging under the floor. I'm looking for the man who shot my pa. But darling, I love you. No. Double tap. But darling, I love you. I'm looking for the man who shot my pa. But darling.
Number 8. Easing them in. Before you run any specific devising activities or exercises, it's good to begin with some games that can help ease the group into devising. Some of the participants may not have experienced this type of process before. Improvisational games can help wake up the group's minds and encourage them to think creatively. It's important to play games that have low stakes and build up to more demanding and specific devising activities. What's in the Box is a good game to play with participants that is low stakes and helps you think on the spot. Ask the participants to get into groups of 2. Ask them to decide who will be person A and who will be person B. Once they are agreed, set a timer for 1 to 2 minutes. During this time, person B will ask person A, "What's in the box?" Person A has to then take something out of an imaginary box and tell person B what it is. "It's a cat." Person B will then repeat the question to person A, and person A will take something different out of the box. The pair should keep doing this until the time has run out. Once the 1 or 2 minutes are up, ask the pair to swap, and person A will ask person B, "What's in the box?" Here's an example of 2 participants playing the game.
What's in the box? Oh, it's a clothes. What's in the box? What's in the box? Oh, it's my mother. Mom, why you?
Number 9. All games can be adapted. When planning your sessions and workshops, think about the group you're working with and how you can adapt exercises to best suit them and ensure they are able to fully participate. Before you begin any exercise, speak to your participants about what they need to make the session accessible to them. Remember, where there's a will, there's a way. Anything can be adapted. I'm going to pass you back to Sarah to share her thoughts on adapting games and exercises and making sure everyone can take part.
And often what you need to do is you say to the group, "This is our game, this is the game that we like to play and we like to play it this way, but does this work for you?" And if they say no, then you work with the group to find a way to make it inclusive. So, for example, when we were doing this task at the Theatre is Inclusive Practice Residential with the participants from the other countries and the other groups that we were working with, one of the key things that we added into this exercise was audio description. It was important that people could audio describe what they were doing to teach it to their other group members, and also so that the audiences could appreciate what it was that they were listening to or hearing if they were visually impaired and not able to see the full outcome of their work. If we were working with other groups of participants, we would just find what those people needed to interact with the exercise based on their knowledge. Everybody is the expert in their own inclusion, and that's the biggest lesson that I take away from this project.
My name is Callum, and this has been Mess at the Messes Tips for Tip, a guide to devised theatre with an inclusive approach. Thank you.